All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy online open house. My name is Matthew Brownstein. I'm the school's founder and lead instructor, and we schedule these before every start date to help you to know what the Institute is all about. I'm here tonight with our dear beloved admissions director, Monica Waterman, and Nidhi Sia. Nidhi is our director of operations. She's going to talk to you briefly about what she does to keep the ship running smoothly. And Monica will talk to you about the admissions process. So let me just introduce the lovely ladies I'm with first, and then one of our instructors who just joined in will be joining us tonight. So welcome Matthew Langford. Matthew's been a supervisor with us, moving into instructor role, and has also been helping behind the scenes to grow with the company. So thanks for being here tonight, Matthew. Let's just take a brief moment, just less than a minute. I'll have everybody who's here introduce themselves. I'll take us through the whole journey tonight, and it'll be less than an hour. There'll be time for question and answer. If you're watching this live, you can use the chat pod to interact with us. So anytime you can ask a question on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And most of you will be watching this as a recording, so feel free to reach out to the school directly rather than through social media at that point. So thank you for being here, everybody. Again, my name is Matthew Brownstein. I'm the school's founder and lead instructor. And let me introduce Monica Waterman, admissions representative.
Hi, everybody. I'm Monica. I'm your admissions director. So I'll be the person you speak to when you call in over the phone, and I'll be the one that helps you get enrolled and select your curriculum when you're ready to start training. So if you ever called school and you don't get an answer right away, that means I'm on the phone with someone else. I'm a big believer that I love the one you're with, so I'm not going to hang up on you to answer the phone if somebody else is calling in. If you do call in and you don't get an answer, rest assured that I'll be calling you back right away.
Nice. Thank you, Monica. And Nidhi is our director of operations, keeping the ship running smoothly. So yeah, brief intro.
Hi, everyone. This is Nidhi, and it's great meeting you all. I've been working with the Institute for over an year now, and it's been so great. And I see how much great work we do in helping every student and supporting throughout their journey through our institute. I am the director of operations, and I make sure all your process once you enroll is smooth and work with all the technical issues that you might have.
Nice. Thank you, Nidhi. I appreciate you. And Jenny Warner, who's not here tonight, is our Director of Student Services. So she also helps to hold your hand and walk you through the training to be sure that everything goes absolutely as smooth as possible. So Nidhi is always behind the scenes, making sure the tech stuff for online education works well. And Jenny is usually in these meetings to introduce yourself as well for our Student Services Department. And Matthew Langford, want to say hello? Oh, I'm not hearing you. Maybe check your mic settings, and then we'll try again. Okay, yeah. All right, great. Well, yeah, I'll come back to Matthew Langford. So I'm Matthew Brownstein again. I founded this school. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of this school. I'm not going to take you through the whole website. Of course, you could do that on your own, but you are looking at our website, and I'm going to point out key features, but mostly using it just so you have some visuals of the things that we're talking about. So again, we're the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. That's a brand or a style of hypnotherapy that I founded back in, well, let's go even further to when that name came around. The whole journey of this school began essentially as my path of healing and enlightenment, and then it became a path of healing and enlightenment for everybody who I could possibly get the message out to. When I was 19 years old, I'm 51 now, just for reference. So over 30 years ago, I had a profound, I think that was accurate, the numbers, but 19 years old, I had a profound spiritual experience that rocked my whole world. What was a world of normal, everything was fine, I wasn't suffering, I was an average person, really. But all of a sudden, normal became sacred. Normal became a holy. Normal became the presence of something that was universally awe-inspiring. You could call that God, but I'm not going to use the G word here. But many people would say, oh, what you tapped into is like divine consciousness. They're just words. What I found was a state of love, light, joy, peace, bliss, and wisdom that rocked my whole world. There was no reason why that should have happened, but it did. It wasn't like drugs or alcohol or anything. It was just a moment of waking up. That experience went away the next morning, But I knew I had tapped into the fabric of reality, that something was real and good and beautiful. So I became a philosophy major, long story short, a religion major. I was moving in the field of academia. I was going to eventually have my master's and PhD in religion and philosophy, because I thought, well, that's the way I'm going to learn more about what happened to me and then share and teach it to others. But I found out that superficial philosophy and religion just couldn't duplicate such a profound mystical experience. That's when I learned about the mystical branches of the world's different religious traditions. Christianity is Christian mysticism, Islam is Sufism, Judaism is Kabbalah and Hasidism. In the East, we have Hinduism, but that dives into the mystical branches of yoga and Advaita Vedanta. There's in Buddhism, overtly Buddhism is somewhat mystical because it's about meditating on the experience of your true self. Yet there's specifically branches like Zen that I practice very deeply. Trying to figure out, what do I do with my life with a deep spiritual side, but how do you make a living? I'm a monk at heart, so I lived in different ashrams and monasteries throughout the years, about 5 years total living in these communities. But then it was still always what do I do for a living? How do I take the spirituality and turn it into a profession that I resonate with? So I dedicated years of my life to Chinese medical training. I've been to different Chinese medical schools, 2 different colleges of acupuncture. But I kept feeling that acupuncture, massage, herbology, it wasn't quite it. I got my Reiki training. I did intense Qigong training and Tai Chi training. I became a rather advanced yogi and meditator. I lived in India in the Himalayas, but I still kept saying, what's the way to help to heal and enlighten the world to what I had been tapping into? Once I found hypnotherapy, I was hooked. I found a path that heals the mind that can radically change the whole world, the way that the world honestly needs changing, right? There's so much pain and so much suffering. And you go to your doctor, and thank God we have doctors, but they can only do so much, right? You realize, but I'm so stressed. There's got to be something in my mind. And the doctors are telling you, this is psychosomatic, this is stress. But usually what do we get? Medications. We go to psychotherapists, and thank God we have psychotherapists. But sometimes people feel like I need more. It's not spiritually based, or it's kind of just talking. I feel like it's not getting to the root of the problem, right? We've tried energy healing through Reiki and massage and acupuncture, but still something's like, what is that thing that's missing? I'm a student and teacher of A Course in Miracles, and A Course in Miracles basically says that all true healing is of the mind. So with that said, only the mind needs to be healed, which leads to hypnosis, which leads to hypnotherapy. So briefly, what is hypnosis, in case you're totally new to this? Consider that you have a heart, I hope you noticed, and you have a head. You have a conscious mind, you have a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is your analytical reasoning mind. It's trying to figure life out. It's a problem-solving intelligence. It looks around, it learns, it makes decisions. Great. But it's only about 10% of the whole of your being, depending on what we say you is. But you is much bigger, that was proper English, you is much bigger than just your conscious mind. The mass of the iceberg is the subconscious mind. That's your emotional mind. It's your feeling mind. It's the dynamo that directs your life force energy. It's what moves the energy through the chakras and the meridians. For those of you who know about the energy side of things, what's controlling that energy? Why does that energy get blocked? Why does the heart close? Why do chakras close? Why do we need acupuncture and Reiki attunements? Why do we need psychotherapy and Western medicine? Why are we such a mess when it comes down to it? So many of us, and I say that, hopefully with the deepest sense of love and respect, that there's so much suffering. Why? The subconscious is not just that which governs your habits, your behaviors, your energy, in the seat of your emotions. It's the seat of your memories. It's where all the past traumas essentially get stored. So what happens is these past events, which are now memories living in our heart, essentially, and in your gut, like gastrointestinal issues, that we have so many physical problems because of the emotions we hold inside of ourselves. Your subconscious is where all of that is stored. We can talk and talk and talk about your problem and analyze it, but analysis was never really proven to be the answer, right? And everything else I studied wasn't the one answer I was looking for. When I found hypnosis, I found a way to access the heart directly, to go right into the subconscious. And my dear mentor, Mr. Gil Boyne, he called this a therapy for the people. Hypnotherapy from Gil Boyne and other leaders in the field back in the 70s became its own profession. So hypnotherapy is its own profession. We'll talk somewhat about those details, but essentially hypnosis is the ability to access the subconscious to make change where the root cause of the problem actually resides. The altered state of hypnosis is totally safe. It's basically, you could say, a relaxed, receptive, and responsive state of mind. But what do we mean? Is it just relaxation? More important, it's communication and responsiveness with the subconscious mind. So let's say you have a behavior you can't change. We can help you to go into hypnosis, access your subconscious, and basically, simply stated, we reprogram it. Well, part of you is programmed that when you feel sad, you go eat donuts. We tell that part of you, it's okay. First of all, you can stop eating the donuts now, but also, you don't have to be so sad anymore because we're here to help. When we help the heart through what we call the inner child, those memories, those negative beliefs about self, the low self-esteem, the painful emotions, we can transform that. And again, to honor my dear mentor, Mr. Gil Boyne, it's a therapy for the people. So when they realized, like, this should be a profession, not just lay hypnotists who are using hypnosis, and even like stage hypnosis, which is fine. But when you're using hypnosis in ways that aren't regulated, licensed, credentialed, then you run the ground for a substandard type of training. So the initial movements in this field were to get hypnotherapy approved at the federal level. So hypnotherapy is an actual profession according to the United States Department of Labor. Therefore, to train you as a hypnotherapist with legitimate state licensed diplomas, a school needs to be licensed by its respective state's Department of Education. So that's our tagline you'll see on the screen, raising the standards of hypnotherapy training. There are plenty of hypnosis trainings out there, and that's fine, right? Because everybody has something good to teach. We're all doing our part to make the world better using the power of the mind. Yet if you're looking for a career training, it's important to understand that hypnotherapy is a career. It's a legitimate, federally acknowledged occupation, just like massage therapy or acupuncture or cosmetology. But things that aren't regulated, something like Reiki, it's wonderful, but it's not considered a profession. Hypnotherapy is actually a profession. I chose this as my profession instead of Chinese medicine, which was definitely where I was going, because I wanted to be sure I was getting to the root cause of the problem. I started my practice back in 1997 in Massachusetts, and I've been at this now for 30 whatever however many years that is. But since I got into all of this, it's been about 30 years I've been in the field. I ran my business for 10 years helping people and seeing about 5 clients per day. That's a wonderfully rewarding career. You make very nice money helping a lot of people, and you get to be yourself and bring something so beautiful into the world. Every day when I was done seeing clients, I would literally just be on my knees. I'm like, I can't believe I do this for a living. Thank you. Like, oh my God. So after doing it for 10 years, I reached out to Gil Boyne and I said, I'd like to open my own school. How do I do that at like the highest level possible? He said, you'll need to get licensed by the Department of Education. And I'm like, okay, well, that must be easy. It took a whole year. It was very expensive. It was very time consuming. It was a huge commitment and it seemed like a huge risk. But we had the very first graduating class started in May 2007. And the intention of the school was to help to duplicate the miraculous work that I was seeing happen in my practice, honestly. But the school's grown now over 17 years. We've had over 1,000 graduates in the school. We are currently enrolling for the September class of 2024. So that start date, just so everybody knows, is September 19th, 2024. There's 13 days left for that enrollment if you're interested. We'll kind of go through the website tonight and let you ask any questions that you have. You can ask Monica, our missions director, who's here, about what it takes to get started. But anyway, let me keep going with the overview. And if you have any questions, if you're here live, feel free to just use the chat pod. All right, but also you can let me flow for a little bit to keep moving along. So again, you see some taglines here. Interpersonal hypnotherapy. What is that? That's our unique style and approach. It's very much based on A Course in Miracles. It's rooted in what I'd like to say is a deep spirituality that's happening behind the scenes. So we're a hypnosis training, but I'm guiding you through very comprehensive fundamentals of hypnosis training into clinical medical hypnosis training and into transpersonal, the very deeply spiritual approach. But notice our tagline, a path of healing and enlightenment. The clinical training is based on healing. Enlightenment is what the transpersonal training is about. I'm really serious when I use those terms, healing and enlightenment. I mean that on the deepest level possible. What does it mean to truly heal? And is that what your life is dedicated to, right? We all have a mission and a purpose. And this, what you're looking at, is my mission, interpersonal hypnotherapy. It's the way I bring healing and enlightenment to the world. And the more you give it away, the more you receive it. So of course I want to keep giving it. So the September class that's enrolling now is somewhere over, I forget the exact number, it's about class 63. So we've had about 63 or so classes go through this entire school. It takes about 9 months or so to go through the entire 500-hour journey. It's not just a weekend hypnosis class. If you're comparing apples to apples, you want to be looking for schools that are state licensed by their respective state's Department of Education, offer over 500 hours of training, because we're working to raise the standards. So that's a tagline, of course, raising the standards of hypnotherapy training and a path of healing and enlightenment. Also, we are licensed by the Department of Education to offer the entire training completely online. So you can train with us for the hands-on practicum hours at a Tampa location or an Orlando location, or you can train 100% online with us. And we'll see if Matthew Langford, if his mic is working. Yep, I heard that. And once we get him settled there, then Matthew is one of our online instructors, so he could certainly talk about that. So yeah, Matthew, want to say hello and just a little bit about,
hello everyone. Happy to be here. Like I said, I'm a good example of what the school can do for you. I started as a student as well, worked as a supervisor, now as an instructor, completely changed my life. I was working kind of dead-end jobs and doing that, and now I get to be such a part of a beautiful mission. And not only that, through the process of going through the training, you go through a radical healing and transformation for yourself that you can then pass on to others. And so, as Matthew was saying, the beautiful part about living in our day and age is that we can do a lot of things online. And you'll notice as a lot of hypnotherapists now are seeing clients online. And it doesn't take away from the modalities, the healing. Healing is not conditioned by physical matter, time and space. And so just being able to do it from the comfort of your own home adds a whole nother level of just settling in and not worrying, not having to, go somewhere. And so it really opens it up to not just people local, but people all over the world.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Matthew. Matthew is one of, again, over 1,000 people who have been through the training who I get to watch blossom and grow. And I like to always say, even when a client says to me, do you see the change? I'm like, nope. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, so much different. I'm like, you were perfect when I met you. You're perfect now. So the whole model here is like interpersonal hypnotherapy. It's about people. It's about the sacred nature of relationships. And I feel as a leader in the field, it's my job to empower others to also become leaders and to grow with us. So what I had a dear teacher taught for us for a while, she said, Matthew, this is like a movement now. And it really is a bunch of us who've come together to utilize hypnotherapy with very high standards of education, of credentialing, honoring the law and the legislative efforts that we work to uphold. So I'll take you through the website a bit to point some of this stuff out. Welcome, Diane. Thank you for saying hello. And you said, how can I book a session with someone who has already gone through the training? You have a few options. Matthew Langford is here. You're welcome to put your contact info in the post a comment section here. And then Diane, if you want, you can reach out to Matthew Langford. I'm sometimes available for private sessions, not so much. But aside from us, the two Matthews, if you would like to contact the school, just call us. The 800 number might be hard to read. It's on the screen here in the top right, 800 551-9247 right there. If you give the school a call, Monica will answer and she can direct you to graduates in your area. But as Matthew Langford said, sessions can be done online. So as long as you find the practitioner that you like, you can really work from anywhere in the world. So yeah, just reach out to the school. We're more than happy to help you to work with a graduate. Also, be sure when you work with one of our graduates to say, I want IIH, that's us, Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, IIH. I want you to use the IIH techniques, because once you graduate, you can do whatever you want with this and you'll morph it into your own thing. But if you want to know what our style of hypnotherapy is like in its purity, work with one of our staff members, honestly, like Matthew Langford here. He's a great, somebody I could totally recommend without any hesitation. And I know he knows our protocols inside and out. The protocols work. They radically change lives. And the average session when a client comes to you is about 4 sessions. We tend to, so let's talk finances a little bit. This is a career, right? So what can you do with this? First of all, as a state licensed school, we can never promise you'll make any certain amount of money. But I'll tell you about 2 graduates I just heard about. These are the highest paid graduates that I'm aware of. So I'm not saying everybody does this, okay? But I have a graduate who's been getting referrals from psychiatrists. And by the way, you don't need a prior degree to work in this field. So one of our graduates is getting referrals from 3 different psychiatrists. She made over $250,000 in 2023 just helping people to transform their lives in this way. I mean, that's incredible. I have another graduate I just talked to. He charges $200 per hour for his sessions, and most sessions are 2 hours. We did the math on that because he said he's seeing 5 clients per day. Just do the math. If you made, I mean, this is $400 a session. That's on the higher end, but once you get a great reputation, people will pay basically what you ask. I'm not telling you what you can make. I'm very careful about that. But this one gentleman just told us, after being a graduate for 10 years now, $200 an hour, 5 2-hour sessions. As far as I think, that's what he's doing because that's what he's trained to do. And that's 5 clients a day. So just do the math. The average graduate, when they graduate, we encourage them to charge $90 per hour. So if you do the math, which is like 90 times, let's say 10 sessions per week, how much money would that be? Okay, again, there's no guarantee. This is your own business. You're your own boss. You make your own hours, and you learn this stuff so well that you can get out there with confidence to truly open your own practice. You can do it in an office. You can do it online. Let's talk about moving through the training a little bit. And then again, feel free to ask questions if you'd like. So, excuse me, I have to look to the side when I'm actually looking at our screen itself. What you see here is start here. And if you sign up with that, it gives you access to the first 20 hours of our training at no charge. So you can fill out, or I'm sorry, the first 4.5 hours of training at no charge. But then you can easily gain access to the first 20 hours. You can talk to us about how to do that. We give you life mastery recordings with that package. I teach through our school something called the Life Mastery course. It's one of the core foundational teachings here. It's about achieving success in every aspect of your life. And I'll tell you those categories so you can think about how actualized are you in all of these categories, and are you using your mind to achieve success in every aspect of your life? Those categories include your spirituality, right? Are you feeling deeply connected to source? Do you feel that sense of all pervasive love and bliss that's really everywhere? If you don't feel tapped into that, I highly encourage you to prioritize that. To me, it's always been the most important thing in my life, for sure. Your mental and emotional health next. How mentally and emotionally, head and heart, how healthy is that? When we talk about healing, there are laws about healing. So when I use that term, I mean it in the deepest sense of the return to wholeness, right? Not healing in the medical sense. We're not healing the body in this work. We're transforming the mind back into pure peace. In A Course in Miracles, peace is health. So we want to help you through the training to achieve mental and emotional health. And we see that all the time. And then you get to help others to do the same. Physical health. You can use your mind to program yourself to eat healthy, to exercise regularly, to be at your ideal body weight, to get a great night's sleep, to look and feel good, and to live with true high self-esteem. Also, those recordings. So I'm talking about Life Mastery, but when you sign up for that Get Started Here package, you get hypnotic programming recordings from me that program your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical health, your career and finances. you can program your mind with statements like this. I now make money. I make large amounts of money. I create great wealth. What's the difference between somebody who's making a lot of money and someone who's not? The difference between a rich person and a poor person. The rich think about how much they have and how easy it is to accumulate more. People who are struggling, poor is the word, think about how little they have and how hard it is to get money. You change that programming, your wealth increases. It's always your mind that determines how you're doing financially. I mean, really, like entrepreneurs change their mind to make really good money. Anybody can use hypnosis to program prosperity, and we do that on the school. Those recordings will do that for you as well. Aside from that, we work on your relationship health. Do you have that significant other? Do you have the family you want? Do you have the children you want? Do you have the friends? And really what it comes down to is loving and harmonious relationships. Again, interpersonal hypnotherapy. So when you sign up for that first 4.5-hour introduction to the school, you get recordings for that. You can get a copy of our prospectus, which tells you all the details about the training itself. You can click here to look at training schedules. And we'll just take a moment to show you. We are currently enrolling for the September 2024 class, and I hope you'll see some of the pictures here. Well, just as you go through our website, there's a lot of wonderful graduating classes. Here's one of our dear instructors who actually retired from teaching with us, but we just haven't updated all the pictures. Danny Fox is a beautiful addition to our school over the years, but retired from teaching with us. So basically the next class starts 9/29/2024. So that's coming up. And then you'll see that happens on a Thursday night. That's when you do class. Thursday night, the first class is 6 to 9. And then you'll see about a week later, we do the second class, but that's 7 to 9. All classes moving forward are 7 to 9 Eastern time. Once you go through 5 online live classes, and you watch the training videos that are required. So there's 3 components here. You watch training videos on your own time. You attend live classes with me as your lead instructor online for those classes. And then you do your in-house or online practicum hours. The training is broken down into 100-hour modules. So it takes 100 total hours to go through what I've highlighted here. That's the fundamentals of hypnotism. It will take you about 15 hours per week to be able to move through that. So if you have 15 hours per week and you can train online, then you're solid. If you want to do 30% of that in a physical location, you could do that in Tampa or Orlando, Florida. It's 70% online, no matter what, and 30% is done online or in-house. It's 150 total hands-on or online practicum hours. Our success rate with this has been well over 90% for retention of students and well over 90% of positive graduate outcomes. When we check in with students later, according to Department of Education standards, we're always well above a 90%. So we figured out how to deliver this education in an extremely refined way now. And it really changes lives. The next section is advanced hypnotism. So the first 100 hours, we're diving into the meat and potatoes of how do you hypnotize? How do you put someone into trance? How do you deepen the trance or hypnotic state? How do you test that someone's in that state? And then what can you start doing with that state in very ethical and proper ways? Once we go into the more advanced teachings, again, it's another 100 hours. And you are looking at, again, Thursday nights from 7 to 9, watching videos during the week as well. And then after 70 hours of that is complete, you're ready for the practicum hours, which again occur online or in-house. That happens in 5 sections. Section hypnotherapist, another 100. That takes you through the first 300 hours of training, making you a certified hypnotherapist with a state licensed diploma that backs that up. Beyond that, we go into the clinical training. It's another 100 hours that introduces you to medical hypnosis, healing aspects of hypnosis in dentistry, childbirthing, surgery, but also a more enhanced way of working with the mind to have deeper, more powerful breakthroughs. Without going into too much detail about it tonight, but essentially the clinical section is where we really start getting into healing and even the metaphysics of healing, some of the deeper spiritual principles behind the work, or you might say the energy level of the understanding, with my background in Chinese medicine and whatnot. Then we go into the transpersonal section. It's another 100 hours. And this is, again, 7 to 9 on Thursday nights, watching videos here on your own, approximately 15 hours per week. And then you have your final practicum. So this class starting in September would graduate in July 2025. So it's, again, about a 9 or so month journey to get through the whole training here. I think we're even talking maybe 10 months or so, something like that. You can calculate it. If for some reason the September class isn't available for you or not working for you at the time, then you could see here under training, hypnotherapy training schedules, we have a February start, a May start, and a September start. So if you ever can do a certain start, you can just go to the next class. And if you're ever finding that you can't keep up with the workload, you can move to the next class. So people who start in the September class, if you felt like, oh, this is a little bit more than I thought I could handle, then just go at your own pace, slow down. We move you to the next cohort. It just takes you an extra few months, 3 or 4 months to graduate. But usually it's not a time issue that gets in the way. When it comes to the financing and tuition, I can let Monica speak about that soon enough. You can find that link here. And essentially, it's only $300 to hold your seat to get started in a class, giving you access to the first 20 hours. So I can let Monica elaborate on that soon. But a few more points while I'm still yapping. We have taken years to refine a very advanced student portal. It's called a learning management system. I'll give you a sneak peek of that. This is the admin side, so it's a little bit more robust than what you see as a student. But when you go to my courses, you see things are broken down into fundamentals, advanced, hypnotherapist, clinical hypnotherapist, and transpersonal hypnotherapist. When you dive into these sections, you are talking about well over 100 hours of training in each section that, again, we guide you through with live classes and practicum hours, but you have literally hundreds of hours of resources here of audio, video, PDFs, classic fundamental video, modern, up-to-date, like all the most current stuff. Every video in the training itself has been redone in 2023. So it's highly up-to-date, very accurate, precise, and at really high levels of education, if I say so myself. So that's just a sneak peek behind the scenes. When you have access, you, by the way, will have access to the school's training as a graduate for your whole life. That library, which is literally, it's got to be well over 1,000 hours of material, is available to you for the rest of your life as a graduate of the school, as long as you're in good standing with us, which is, of course, most graduates. You can see about our mission and purpose. Again, I mentioned my dear mentor, Mr. Gil Boyne. He was the primary influence behind all of this work and some of the philanthropic efforts that we maintain. So again, we do work with the Department of Education to maintain our license. If you want to learn more about me, you can check that out here. Brief overview of the staff page. Nice new picture, Nidhi. I like it. Nidhi, again, is our Director of Operations. Monica, who's here, is our Director of Admissions. Jenny, who couldn't be here tonight, is Student Services Director. Hello, Yvonne. Welcome. Yes, you can receive a copy of this meeting. It's streaming now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So if you go back to YouTube, specifically, I know it's there, after the class is over, this will be on our channel. And you can find our YouTube channel in the top right here in the social link. So yeah, that's where you would find this recording. I won't go through every staff member, but I hope you can see the truly beautiful, awesome people who are part of this vision. So basically, we have a team of directors, instructors, supervisors, examiners, and guest lecturers who work with us. We have annual conferences. There is one coming up in 2024, happening October 19th and 20th. Anybody can attend. Members of the association, it's $99, non-members $149. This is a great introduction, and you can be a current student or a graduate or anybody and attend the conference. You will see exceptional people who have come together to put this on for us. Kylie Teller is a licensed marriage family therapist, very well known in the field. I'm proud to have her here. and a lot of other great people, including some really wonderful PhDs who've gone super deep in their field. So as you can see, interpersonal, it's all about people and growing together. Training itself. So you can get a copy of our prospectus that will give you a really good overview of everything. Also, too much information I mentioned. If you look under hypnotherapy training, you can compare all the packages. Beyond the first 500 hours, there are continuing education units, and that will take you well over, really, I think it's about over 750 hours you should be able to achieve through our additional courses. We don't push those on you, just really it's the core 500 hours, and then to know that the journey just begins, essentially, is what it comes down to. Again, you can see the next class starting in 13 days, September 19th. But yeah, compare the packages, and then eventually you learn more about what do we mean by interpersonal hypnotherapist, what is that additional training. But you do that essentially after you graduate the first 500 hours. Okay, there are a lot of free resources. Our hypnotherapy care package I mentioned, there are past podcasts that I've cranked out over the years. These conscious community classes are well over 400 hours of free classes on basically every topic in this field that you can imagine. Our current blog, and then onlinemonastery.com, just briefly, is the deeper spiritual hub behind what I do here. It is based on a meditation system that I call the Anahat meditation system. So when you see the sacred geometry behind this, it's based on one of my books. But these are all free. It's 60 hours of video, but it's well over 100 hours of meditation training, again, totally free, where you can become a certified Anahat meditation teacher. Each of these videos is about 4 hours long if you want to take a really deep plunge into a powerful system of meditation. We run something called the IAIH, International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. This became the governing, credentialing, regulatory body for interpersonal hypnotherapists worldwide because, as dear as Gil Boyne has been to me over the years, when he passed away, I realized it was time to go out on my own, essentially. And standing on the shoulders of a giant is what it felt like. It's like, all right, let's raise the standards beyond what they have been. So that's one of the key premises of the work we do. I'm not saying we're the best. I'm not saying there isn't better or more refined, but our intention is to create the absolute best and most refined training and standards out there. That goes into a whole lot of resources you can find here. In-depth scope of practice assessment guidelines to be sure you're operating within your credentials. There are laws that govern this field, and those are all discussed here. We haven't reposted the new version yet, which is up to date on 2022, but I have that document ready. I just need to review it for 2024 current laws. So we monitor state laws to be sure you're completely safe operating within the scope of your practice. We have an advanced code of ethics to be sure you're operating properly as well as professional disclosure forms so your clients know what they're getting into, ways to get good liability insurance, which we train you in. There's a good 20 plus hours of advertising and marketing, business and practice management built into the overall training to help to ensure your success. There are, as I said, an abundance of CEU courses. Intuitive development has been wonderful with Mary Hayes. She's I don't think she likes the word psychic, but to me, she's quite psychic, intuitive. She teaches 3 hours in our school's training. And there's this 8-hour additional course, and then you can just see others. This is the Life Mastery course I mentioned at the beginning. It's a core part of the training, but you don't have to get it additional. It's part of the school if you're going through the entire training. A Course in Miracles is also a very fundamental part of our training. Me as your lead instructor, you will hear me quoting A Course in Miracles. It's about forgiveness. It's a return to love. How could that be wrong, right? It's always about finding inner peace again. It's a beautiful approach to understanding and transforming the mind. Again, you don't have to be a psychotherapist. We don't claim to be psychotherapists. We operate within a certain window, which is essentially helping the able to become more able. We don't deal with severe mental health conditions. We don't deal with diagnosed mental health conditions. We perform miracles. And what is that? It's a shift from fear to love. That's how Course in Miracles basically defines it. Your mind shifts from illusion to truth, from a false self to your true self. I embed that in the training a lot. And the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali also influence the training as far as the meditative state known as samadhi. In the state of samadhi, you're pure peace, you're pure joy, you're pure love. It's the answer to every problem. It is essentially the enlightened state is to live in samadhi, which is really oneness with your source, oneness with your true self. You might say your Buddha nature, and those of you who use the G word, the Yoga Sutras, yoga, it means oneness with God. But you don't have to use the G word. We're not a religion here. It's just, I think people are hungry for, longing for deep spirituality that is not necessarily overly dogmatic or intellectualized or theistic. To me, this is a living spirituality. It's being of service in the world. You know, how we want to live from love and compassion, but how do we do it? And to me, this offers a great path to do that. All right. With that said, let me just show you a little bit of the books, and then I'll turn it over to our other staff tonight. I'm the author of 5 books, currently about to publish the 6th one on another book on interpersonal hypnotherapy. One of my books is called Peace Under All Circumstances. You can get it for free on YouTube as an audio book. Beyond that, I published a book called The Sutras on Healing and Enlightenment that happened after I wrote it while living in India in the Himalayas, where I was actually healing people. I was like doing this work, and I thought I was on sabbatical, but people found out what I did, and I started doing the work. And it was so profound. I was like, I'm going to write a book on this, and eventually I opened the school on it. So that's one of the core textbooks that we use in the clinical section of the training. The Anahat meditation system and the sacred geometry of meditation, that goes along with the online monastery, totally free for you, project of, again, a very powerful style of meditation that really is awe-inspiring. I still do it every day, and I've been practicing it for, something like 30 years now. The key book on the training right now is called Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. However, again, I'm rewriting a book that's much more collegiate, thicker, much more expansive on what we do. But this is a very good primer right now for the work that we do, for sure. We do talk about astral projection in the training, the out-of-body experience. Yes, you can use hypnosis to induce that. And then here's the Manifesting Prosperity series. There are required readings for the school and recommended readings. Just want to kind of zip through the recommended quickly so you can get a sense of the things that are important to me. Taoist styles of leadership, the great saints and sages of the world's religions. These are people who live love, who live peace and joy and wisdom, and their lives are dedicated to the service of others. These are my role models that really help to make the school a beautiful experience, if I say so myself. This is our Orlando director and instructor, Renee Brent. Her book, How Big Is Your Butt? And her other book is listed here, Stopping the Worry Agreement. They're breaking the worry agreement. So highly recommend it. And Dr. Hank Clemens is one of our graduates teaches on emotional intelligence. Anyway, that is my general overview of the school. I'll go back to screen share if we need to. But for now, let's turn it over to, how about Monica? Would you like to share about if people want to dive in, what do they do? What are the steps? What did I forget to say?
Oh, just call me. 800-551-9247. That's what you want to do. If you're interested in training, you're curious about pricing, you have questions about what to expect or what's going to be expected of you or how much time it's going to take you. These are all things I'll be able to help you with. And so generally speaking, what we do is we open enrollment roughly 6 weeks prior to the first day of class. And students, potential students, people who are interested in becoming students have the opportunity at that time to reserve a seat in their preferred location. So what does that mean? That means with a deposit of $300, they're able to be confident that that seat will be there for them from the day one of that session that they're interested in. And also, I will release to you at that time the balance of the first 20 hours of training for you to review. So you can get a comfort level with the online learning environment. And I maybe gain a little bit more confidence with how to navigate and make sure that you feel in alignment with the way things are being presented. Your comfort is really all important to us. And so anything we can do to ensure that is going to be important. Then generally speaking, by 2 weeks before the first day, we're going to ask you to complete your payment to the first module. All of our training is divided into these 100-hour modules. I just want to make a little side note. An hour in this context is a 50-minute hour or a clinical hour as opposed to a clock hour, but it doesn't make that much difference, but you should know that, I assume. Anyway, so if I've already got $300 of your money, that means that you don't owe me $1,950, you owe me $1,650. And then once that happens, the balance of that 100-hour module will be open to you so that you can do all of your independent or your self-paced training. Even those 2-hour bi-weekly classes that Matthew was speaking about earlier, they come for this session, they'll be on Thursday nights between 7 and 9, with the exception of the first one because you have an extra hour for orientation. But if that happens to be at a time which is just not conducive to your comfort level for whatever reason, your activity schedule is, throwing up a conflict, or one of your kids has a recital or whatever it is, those will be recorded for later repeat viewing. It's not necessary to feel like you have to be in two places at one time. So fully 70% of the classes are really very self-paced. The exception is always going to be, as Matthew said, that clinical practice portion. So clinical practice, just by definition, requires you to be in real time. It doesn't require you to be in any specific geographical location. You can do it online if you want to from any place in the world, but we do all have to get together at the same time. We haven't figured out how to teleport yet, so that's going to be the only limit. And once we do, we're gonna get that right out to you too. So, but yeah, so you can pay, as I said before, you can pay a module at a time as you go through. Just complete that $1,950 payment. The entire module opens up as you work your way through and complete your clinical practice associated with that module. You'll pay again, and then the next 100 hours will open up for you, and you can do that all the way through. Think of it as an interest-free loan, if you wanted to call that, or interest-free payment plan. But if that amount of money coming out, roughly $1,000 a month, is not super comfortable for your current budget, there's always the opportunity to finance your training. So there are a couple of caveats around that, but we do make it pretty easy. Your minimum credit score needs to be 600 or above, which I think is pretty generous. And then the minimum down payment for that payment plan would be $600. We don't hold the paper here at the school. We use Tuition Financing Corporation. They're a very highly reputable firm, and they take care of handling the paperwork as far as holding those loans. So they make it relatively easy. Your monthly payments would really come down, if you're for a 500-hour training, your monthly payments would really come down to about $312.68 a month for a maximum term of 36 months. If there's any need to or ability to cut it short, it's a simple interest loan. It's not like where it's any predatory loan where if you paid it off early, the first thing you're paying off is all the interest. The shorter you make the term, the less overall interest you pay. That's not to say that it reduces the interest rate. It just reduces the amount in dollars of interest you pay over the course of the loan. So if you have any questions about that, again, the number is 800-551-9247. You'll give me a call and I'll be able to walk you through it. What other highlights would you like me to hit tonight, Matthew?
No, there's beautiful. A little echo, maybe. Yeah, if you want to mute your mic, if you're good. But thank you, Monica. That was awesome. Yeah, so Monica definitely talked to you about tuition. You get a sense of who you talk to when you call the school. Monica's been with me for over 10 years now. Took a little sabbatical, but so glad to have you back with us, Monica. It's been awesome. Matthew Langford, any closing words? Again, Matthew is one of our lead instructors and a private practitioner now in the field.
Yeah, I guess want to hint on what I said in the beginning. This school and going through the program truly changes your life, not just spiritually, emotionally, but also financially. I was able to visit, 4 countries last year. I'm going on a trip soon, all while working, making money. But most importantly, spreading light and spreading this message. And we go from this kind of this self-absorbed trying to survive mode and now into like being inspired to, how can I spread love? How can I share this freedom that I'm feeling with other people? And that just makes it so much better. When you heal yourself, the people around you start to heal, because you start opening them up to this new way of being, that it's okay to forgive, it's okay to love. And that's you can't buy that. You can't buy freedom. And so just want to close it with that. If you want your life to transition to something beautiful, and then this is the calling. This is it.
Nice. Thank you so much. Two Matthews don't make a right, as I've been having to get used to having two Matthews around. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you. And thank you, Nidhi. Nidhi just works behind the scenes mostly, but anything else you want to share in closing?
Yeah, it's just been so great working with the Institute, working with Matthew, and working with Monica and the team. And it just gives me a sense of satisfaction trying to help solve students' issues, especially when they're trying to through this such an important journey. And then I just love what I do, and I love working with the Institute.
Thank you, Nidhi. I appreciate you. So yeah, again, Nidhi keeps things running smooth behind the scenes. Jenny Warner, who couldn't be here tonight, Student Services. You can call her anytime if you have questions while you're going through the training. We're just extremely here for you. With all that said, let me open to anybody who's here live. Any question answer, just use the chat pod. If not, we'll start to wrap it up. Again, you can always get in touch. So type them if you got them, if you have questions now. You can get in touch again, 800-551-9247, or visit us at instituteofhypnotherapy.com. Again, the next start date is September 19th. September 19th. And then the next class, if you can't make that, will be February 2025. Those dates aren't available yet, but they will be right after September. Hint, hint, Nidhi. Right after September 19th, we'll have the February dates available as well. All right, awesome. I don't see any questions in the chat pod. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Reach out to us if you do. I'm always available to talk or to answer your email questions as well. Thank you, team, for being here. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.